Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, where we are learning every day how to rise above the intense urge in this material world, especially at this time, to resist the temptation to just go all out for sense gratification. We're hearing now how the United States of America, which is the leading country, has been the leading country in the world ever since World War II practically, and has had so many good qualities. And Srila Prabhupada loved America, so please don't take any of my comments or my mentality wrongly. I was born there and raised there. I owe a lot to that country. But it's a fact that over the years, America has maybe 4.5% of the population of the world, but the level of creature comforts that a good percentage of them have is using up a disproportionate amount of the resources on the earth, and therefore, as it always is, material nature and the laws of material nature. The laws of material nature are governed by God, they're governed by Krishna, and therefore they're infallible, and you can't change them. Therefore, as the law of karma, now the word karma has come into our lexicon in the English language, and everybody knows something about it. At least they get the sense that you have good karma or bad karma. If you do something good, you get good karma. You have to do something bad, you get bad karma. Well, the whole situation of the Earth's population, especially in the developed Western worlds, where they're technologically far advanced, now they're having to take the other side of the equation, because for every enjoyment you have, you must accept an equal and opposite reaction of discomfort. That's the law of nature. So therefore now America has become the epicenter of the whole world. And the whole world is beginning to wonder whether they want to accept Americans as visitors into their countries, because there's a higher percentage that you're going to get COVID, people coming from there than anywhere else. So here we are. This is the atmosphere we have to live in, and let us absorb our minds, really absorb our minds and hearts, not just enjoying ourselves by being relieved of the discomfort while we're hearing the Caitanya-caritämrta, but let us pray that our hearts can become purified enough so that we can actually learn the art of controlling our senses and our minds and being a good example for others, and get the relief that we're all looking for from this process of bhakti yoga. So this Caitanya-caritämrta is declared by Srila Prabhupada to be the perfect Shastra. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said it was his solace, his only solace in life. Srila Prabhupada himself, our Srila Prabhupada, also said that it was his life and soul, and gave him the only solace he had, coming over on the boat, having heart attacks, living 1 year in New York City without any support, in very difficult circumstances. But his life and soul was the Caitanya-caritämrta. So how fortunate we are to be able to sit down together and associate with Srila Prabhupada, associate with Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Lord Chaitanya and all his eternal associates. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur thought so highly of the Caitanya-caritämrta that he said this, and it's a poetic glorification. In due course, Mahapralaya, devastating floods, will inundate the entire universe. if you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Or, if you cannot hold all three, then release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam, but under no circumstances release your hold on Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage, because after it has subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta alone, it being the essence of all Shastra. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, we've reached the 10th chapter of the Ädi-lilä of Sri Caitanya-caritämrta, and we just heard, we're now hearing about the tree of devotional service that was discussed in the last chapter. Only now we're hearing about who the personalities are that form the branches of the Chaitanya tree. Beginning with text 12. Text 12. Another big branch was Acharya Ratna, and his associates were sub-branches. We've heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the main trunk, and the tree itself, and the fruits and everything. But then that trunk grew into two branches, main branches, Lord Nityananda, Advaitacharya. Then there was Srivas Thakur and his brothers. They formed the major trunk, limb from those main branches. Now it's Acharya Ratna. He was a big branch, and his associates were sub-branches. Text 13. Acharya Ratna was also named Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya. In a drama in his house, Lord Chaitanya played the Goddess of Fortune. Purport. Dramatic performances were enacted during the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the players who took part in such dramas were all pure devotees. No outsiders were allowed. The members of ISKCON should follow this example. Whenever they stage dramatic performances about the lives of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Lord Krishna, the players must be pure devotees. Professional players and dramatic actors have no sense of devotional service, and therefore, although they can perform very artistically, there is no life in such performances. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to refer to an actor as Yatra Dali Narada, which means farcical Narada. Sometimes an actor in a drama plays the part of Narada Muni, although in his private life he is not at all like Narada Muni, because he is not a devotee. Such actors are not needed in dramatic performances about the lives of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to perform dramas with Advaita Prabhu, Srivas Thakur, and other devotees in the house of Chandrasekhar. The place where Chandrasekhar's house was situated is now known as Brajapatana. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established the Sri Chaitanya Mat at this place. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to accept the renounced order of life, Chandrasekhar Acharya was informed of this by Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and therefore he was present when Lord Chaitanya accepted sannyas from Keshava Bharati in Katwa. It is he who first spread the word in Navadvip of Lord Chaitanya's accepting sannyas. Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya was present during many important incidents in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He therefore forms the second branch of the tree of Lord Chaitanya. Text 14. Pundarik Vidyanidhi, the third big branch, was so dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that in his absence, Lord Chaitanya himself would sometimes cry. Purport. Before we go on, I wanted to mention that Chandrasekhar Acharya, we just heard about Lord Chaitanya's pastimes in Varanasi, in Benares, and when he took sannyas, he sent Chandrasekhar to Varanasi, and he couldn't understand. He wanted to go with him, but Lord Chaitanya had his plan, and he would be there and be witness to Lord Chaitanya's deliverance of all the Mayavadi sannyasis. So it was a very intimate relationship, even though they separated. They weren't physically together as much as the devotees who went with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Jagannath Puri, or those who from Jagannath Puri lived with him. But he was very intimate. So now we're in the Pundarik Vidyanidhi, the third big branch. And Lord Chaitanya, he was so dear to Lord Chaitanya that Lord Chaitanya himself would sometimes cry in his absence. Purport. In the Gauraganodesh Deepika 54, Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi is described as the father of Srimati Radharani in Krishna Lila. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore treated him as his father. Pundarik Vidyanidhi's father was known as Banishwara, or according to another opinion, Shuklambara Brahmachari, and his mother's name was Ganga Devi. According to one opinion, Banishwara was a descendant of Sri Shivaram Gangopadhyaya. The original home of Pundarik Vidyanidhi was in East Bengal, now Bangladesh, in a village near Dhaka named Bhagia, which belonged to the Varendra group of Brahmana families. Sometimes Varendra Brahmanas were at odds. Whoops, sorry, I skipped down too much, sorry. Yeah, sometimes these Varendra Brahmanas were at odds with another group known as Radiya Brahmanas, and therefore Pundarik Vidyanidhi's family was ostracized and at that time was not living as a respectable family. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, one of the members of this family was living in Vrindavan, and his name Sarojananda Goswami. One special characteristic of this family is that each of its members had only one son or no son at all, and therefore the family was not very expansive. There's a place in the district of Chattogram in East Bengal that is known as Hatta Hajari, and a short distance from this place is a village known as Meghala Gram, in which Pundarik Vidyanidhi's forefathers lived. One can approach Meghala Gram from Chattogram either on horseback, by bullock cart, or by steamer. The steamer station is known as Annapurnara Ghat. The birthplace of Pundarik Vidyanidhi is about 2 miles southwest of Annapurnara Ghat. The temple constructed there by Pundarik Vidyanidhi is now very old and much in need of repair. Without repair, the temple may soon crumble. There are 2 inscriptions on the bricks of that temple, but they are so old that one cannot be read. There is another temple, however, about 200 yards south of this one, and some people say that this is the old temple constructed by Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Pundarik Vidyanidhi father, and he gave him the title Premanidhi. Pundarik Vidyanidhi later became the spiritual master of Gadadhar Pandit and an intimate friend of Swarup Damodar's. Gadadhar Pandit at first misunderstood Pundarik Vidyanidhi to be an ordinary pounds and shillings man, but later, upon being corrected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gadadhar Pandit became his disciple. Another incident in the life of Pundarik Vidyanidhi involves his criticizing the priest of the Jagannath temple, for which Jagannath Prabhu chastised him personally by slapping his cheeks. This is described in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antya-kanda, chapter 10. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur informs us that during his time, there were still 2 living descendants of the family of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, who were named Sri Hadukumar Smriti Tirtha, and Sri Krishna Kinkara Vidyalankara. For further information, one should refer to the dictionary known as Vaishnava Manjusha. Text 15. Gadadhar Pandit, the 4th branch, is described as an incarnation of the pleasure potency of Krishna. No one, therefore, can equal him. Purport. In the Gauraganodesh Deepika 147-53, it is stated, Sri Krishna's pleasure potency, formerly known as Vrindavaneshwari, is now personified in the form of Sri Gadadhar Pandit in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami has pointed out that in the shape of Lakshmi, the pleasure potency of Krishna, she was formerly very dear to the Lord as Shyamasundara Vallabha. The name Shyamasundara Vallabha is now present in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes as Gadadhar Pandit. Formerly as Lalita Sakhi, she was always devoted to Srimati Radharani. Thus, Gadadhar Pandit is simultaneously an incarnation of Srimati Radharani and Lalita Sakhi. In the 12th chapter of this part of Caitanya-caritämrta, there is a description of the descendants or disciplic succession of Gadadhar Pandit. Text 16. His disciples and grand-disciples are his sub-branches. To describe them all would be difficult. 17. Vakreshwar Pandit, the 5th branch of the tree, was a very dear servant of Lord Chaitanya's. He could dance with constant ecstasy for 72 hours. Purport. In the Gauraganodesh Deepika 71, it is stated that Vakreshwar Pandit was an incarnation of Aniruddha, one of the quadruple expansions of Vishnu, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. He could dance wonderfully for 72 continuous hours. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu played in dramatic performances in the house of Srivas Pandit, Vakreshwar Pandit was one of the chief dancers, and he danced continuously for that length of time. Sri Govinda Das, an Oriya devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has described the life of Vakreshwar Pandit in his book Gaura Krishnodaya. There are many disciples of Vakreshwar Pandit in Orissa, and they are known as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, although they are Oriyas. Among these disciples are Sri Gopala Guru and his disciple Sri Janachandra Goswami. Text 18. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally sang while Vakreshwar Pandit danced, and thus Vakreshwar Pandit fell at the lotus feet of the Lord and spoke as follows. 19. O Chandramukha, please give me 10,000 Gandharvas. Let them sing as I dance, and then I will be greatly happy. Purport. The Gandharvas, who are residents of Gandharva Loka, are celebrated as celestial singers whenever singing is needed in the celestial planets, and therefore Vakreshwar Pandit wanted to dance as they sang. Text 20. Lord Chaitanya replied, I have only one wing like you, but if I had another, certainly I would fly in the sky. Text 21. Pandit Jagadananda, the sixth branch of the Chaitanya tree, was celebrated as the life and soul of the Lord. He is known to have been an incarnation of Satyabhama, one of the chief queens of Lord Krishna. Purport. There are many dealings of Jagadananda Pandit with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Most importantly, he was the Lord's constant companion and especially took part in all the pastimes of the Lord in the houses of Srivas Pandit and Chandrasekhar Acharya. 22. Jagadananda Pandit, as an incarnation of Satyabhama, always wanted to see to the comfort of Lord Chaitanya. But since the Lord was a sannyasi, he did not accept the luxuries that Jagadananda Pandit offered. 23. They sometimes appeared to fight over trifles, but these quarrels were based on their affection, of which I will speak later. 24. Raghava Pandit, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's original follower, is understood to have been the seventh branch. From him proceeded another sub-branch headed by Makaradwaj Kara. Makaradwaj Kara. Purport. Kara was a surname of Makaradwaj. At present, this surname is generally found in the Kayastha community. The Gauraganudesh Dipika 166 states, Danishta Bhakshasamagrim Krishnanyadad Brajemitam Saiva Samprati Gauranga Priyo Raghava Panditaha. Raghava Pandit was formerly a confidential gopi in Braja during the time of Lord Krishna's pastimes, and his former name was Danishta. This gopi, Danishta, always engaged in preparing foods for Krishna. Text 25. Raghava Pandit's sister, Damayanti, was the dear maidservant of the Lord. She always collected various ingredients with which to cook for Lord Chaitanya. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhasha, in the Gauraganudesh Dipika 167, it is mentioned, Gunamala Braje Yashit Damayanti Tutat Swasa. The gopi named Gunamala appeared as Raghava Pandit's sister, Damayanti. On the East Bengal Railway line, beginning from the Shelda station in Calcutta, there is a station named Sodapur, which is not very far from Calcutta. Within 1 mile of this station, toward the western side of the Ganges, is a village known as Panihati, in which the residential quarters of Raghava Pandit still exist. On Raghava Pandit's tomb is a creeper on a concrete platform. There is also a Madan Mohan deity and a broken down temple nearby. This temple is managed by local zamindar of the name Sri Shiva Chandra Roy Chowdhury. Makaradwaj Kara was also an inhabitant of Panihati. Text 26. The foods Damayanti cooked for Lord Chaitanya when he was in Puri were carried in bags by her brother Raghava without the knowledge of others. Text 27. The Lord accepted these foods throughout the entire year. Those bags are still celebrated as Raghavera Jali, the bags of Raghava Pandit. So these bags contained condiments, pickles and different preparations that could last for a very long time. And Lord Chaitanya would take little of them for the whole year in remembrance of Damayanti. Later we'll hear a description of the contents of that bag, which is mind-blowing, to say the least. Text 28. Oh, I shall now describe the contents. I was saying later, but I meant not too later. I shall now describe the contents of the bags of Raghava Pandit. Oh, I shall describe the contents of the bags of Raghava Pandit later in this book. Hearing this narration, devotees generally cry and tears glide down from their eyes. Purport. A vivid description of these Raghavera Jali is to be found in chapter 10 of the Ädi-lilä portion of Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Text 29. Pandit Gangadas was the 8th dear branch of the tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who remembers his activities attains freedom from all bondage. Text 30. Sri Acharya Purandara, the 9th branch, was a constant associate of Lord Chaitanya's. The Lord accepted him as his father. Purport. It is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that whenever Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the house of Raghava Pandit, he also visited Purandara Acharya immediately upon receiving an invitation. Purandara Acharya is to be considered the most fortunate because the Lord used to greet him by addressing him as his father and embracing him in great love. Text 31. Damodar Pandit, the 10th branch of the Chaitanya tree, was so elevated in the love of Lord Chaitanya that he once unhesitatingly chastised the Lord with strong words. Damodar Pandit. Text 32. Later in the Caitanya-caritämrta, I shall describe this incident of chastisement in detail. The Lord, being very much satisfied by this chastisement, sent Damodar Pandit to Navadvip. Purport. Damodar Pandit, who was formerly known as Shaibya in Vrajadam, used to carry messages from Lord Chaitanya to Sachi Mata, and during the Ratha Yatra festival, he carried messages from Sachi Mata to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 33. The 11th branch, the younger brother of Damodar Pandit, was known as Shankara Pandit. He was celebrated as the shoes of the Lord. Text 43. Sadashiva Pandit, the 12th branch, was always eager to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. It was his good fortune that Lord Nityananda resided at his house when the Lord came to Navadvip. Purport. It is mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Anchakanda, chapter 9, that Sadashiva Pandit was a pure devotee and that Nityananda Prabhu resided at his house. The 13th branch was Pradyumna Brahmachari. Since he was a worshipper of Lord Nrsingadev, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed his name to Nrsingananda Brahmachari. Purport. Pradyumna Brahmachari, as described in the Ädi-lilä, 2nd chapter of Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. He was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, who changed his name to Nrsingananda. While coming from the house of Raghava Pandit at Panihati to the house of Shivananda, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the heart of Nrsingananda Brahmachari. To acknowledge this, Nrsingananda Brahmachari used to accept as eatables the food of 3 deities, namely Jagannath, Nrsingadev, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is stated in the Caitanya-caritämrta Ädi-lilä, 2nd chapter, verses 48 through 78. Upon receiving information that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was proceeding toward Vrindavan from Kulia, Nrsingananda absorbed himself in meditation and by his mental activities began constructing a very nice road from Kulia to Vrindavan. All of a sudden, however, he broke his meditation and told the other devotees that this time Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not go to Vrindavan, but would travel only as far as the place known as Kanai Natashala. This is described in Madhya-lila, chapter 1, verses 155 through 162. The Gauraganadesh Dipika 74 says, Ave shas cha tatagyeyo mishre pradyumna samgyake. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed the name of Pradyumna Mishra, or Pradyumna Brahmachari, to Nrsingananda Brahmachari, for in his heart Lord Nrsingadev was manifest. It is said that Lord Nrsingadev used to talk with him directly. Text 36. Narayana Pandit, the 14th branch, a great and liberal devotee, did not know any shelter but Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. Purport. Narayana Pandit was one of the associates of Srivas Thakur. It is mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Anchakanda, 8th chapter, verse 36, that he went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri with the Thakur's brother, Sri Ram Pandit. Text 37. The 15th branch was Sriman Pandit, who was a constant servitor of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He used to carry a torch while the Lord danced. Purport. Sriman Pandit was among the companions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when the Lord performed Sankirtan. When Lord Chaitanya dressed himself in the form of the goddess Lakshmi and danced in the streets of Navadvip, Sriman Pandit carried a torch to light the way. Text 38. The 16th branch, Shuklambara Brahmachari, was very fortunate because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jokingly or seriously begged food from him and sometimes snatched it from him forcibly and ate it. Sudama. Purport. It is stated that Shuklambara Brahmachari, an inhabitant of Navadvip, was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first companion in the Sankirtan movement. When Lord Chaitanya returned from Gaya after initiation, he stayed with Shuklambara Brahmachari because he wanted to hear from this devotee about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Shuklambara Brahmachari collected alms of rice from the inhabitants of Navadvip and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took pleasure in eating the rice that he cooked. It is said that Shuklambara Brahmachari was one of the wives of the yogic Brahmanas during the time of Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya begged food from the wives of the yogic Brahmanas. Lord Krishna begged food from the wives of the yogic Brahmanas, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed a similar pastime by begging rice from Shuklambara Brahmachari. Text 39. Nandana Acharya, the 17th branch of the Chaitanya tree, is celebrated within the world because the two Prabhus, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, sometimes hid in his house. Purport. Nandana Acharya was another companion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his kirtan pastimes in Navadvip. Srila Nityananda Prabhu, as Avaduta, traveled on many pilgrimages, and when he first came to Sri Navadvip Dham, he remained hidden in the house of Nandana Acharya. It is there that he first met all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his Mahaprakash, he asked Ramai Pandit to call Advaita Prabhu, who was hiding in the home of Nandana Acharya, for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that he was hiding. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya also sometimes hid in the home of Nandana Acharya. In this connection, one may refer to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, chapters 6 and 17. Text 40. Mukunda Datta, a class friend of Lord Chaitanya's, was another branch of the Chaitanya tree. Lord Chaitanya danced while he sang. Purport. Sri Mukunda Datta was born in the Chattagram district, in the village of Chanhara, which is under the jurisdiction of the police station named Patia. This village is situated 10 kroshas, or about 20 miles, from the home of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. In the Ganodesh Deepika 140, it is said, Vrajistitau gaya kau yao, Madhukanta madhuvratau, Mukunda vasudevau tau, Tatau Goranga Gaya Kau. In Braja there were two very nice singers named Madhukanta and Madhuvrata. They appeared in Caitanya-lilā as Mukunda and Vasudev Datta, who were singers in the society of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Lord Chaitanya was a student, Mukunda Datta was his class friend, and they frequently engaged in logical arguments. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would fight with Mukunda Datta using tricks of logic. This is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi-kanda, chapters 11 and 12. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya, Mukunda Datta gave him pleasure by reciting verses from Srimad Bhagavatam about Krishna Lila. It was by his endeavor that Gadadhar Pandit Goswami became a disciple of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, as stated in the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, chapter 7. When Mukunda Datta sang in the courtyard of Srivas Prabhu, Mahaprabhu danced with his singing, and when Lord Chaitanya for 21 hours exhibited an ecstatic manifestation known as Satta Praharya, Mukunda Datta inaugurated the function by singing. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised Mukunda Datta by calling him Gadajatiya Beta, because he attended many functions held by different classes of non-devotees. This is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, chapter 10. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed himself as the goddess of fortune to dance in the house of Chandrasekhar, Mukunda Datta began the first song. Before disclosing his desire to take the renounced order of life, Lord Chaitanya first went to the house of Mukunda Datta. But at that time, Mukunda Datta requested Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to continue his Sankirtan movement for a few days more before taking sannyas. This is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhyakanda, chapter 26. The information of Lord Chaitanya's accepting the renounced order was made known to Gadadhar Pandit, Chandrasekhar Acharya, and Mukunda Datta by Nityananda Prabhu, and therefore all of them went to Katwa and arranged for kirtan and all the paraphernalia for Lord Chaitanya's acceptance of sannyas. After the Lord took sannyas, they all followed him, especially Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Prabhu, and Mukunda Datta, who followed him all the way to Purushottam Kshetra. In this connection, one may refer to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Anchakanda, chapter 2. In a place known as Jaleshwara, Nityananda Prabhu broke the sannyas rod of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhyakanda 197. Mukunda Datta was also present at that time. He went every year from Bengal to see Lord Chaitanya at Jagannath Puri. Text 41. Vasudev Datta, the 19th branch of the Sri Chaitanya tree, was a great personality and a most confidential devotee of the Lord. One could not describe his qualities even with thousands of mouths. Purport. Vasudev Datta, the brother of Mukunda Datta, was also a resident of Chattagram. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat it is said, Yanrastani Krishna hoy apane vikarya. Vasudev Datta was such a powerful devotee that Krishna was purchased by him. Vasudev Datta stayed at Srivas Pandit's house, and in Chaitanya Bhagavat it is described that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased with Vasudev Datta and so affectionate toward him that he used to say, I am only Vasudev Datta's man. My body is only meant to please Vasudev Datta, and he can sell me anywhere. Thrice he vowed that this was a fact, and that no one else should disbelieve these statements. All my dear devotees, he said, I tell you the truth. My body is especially meant for Vasudev Datta. Vasudev Datta initiated Sri Yadunandana Acharya, the spiritual master of Raghunath Das, who later became Raghunath Das Goswami. This will be found in the Caitanya-caritämrta, Ädi-lilä, 6th chapter, verse 161. Vasudev Datta spent money very liberally. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Shivananda Sen to become his Sarakela, or secretary, in order to control his extravagant expenses. Vasudev Datta was so kind to the living entities that he wanted to take all their sinful reactions so that they might be delivered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is described in the 15th chapter of the Caitanya-caritämrta's Madhyalila, verses 159 through 180. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, there is a railway station named Purvastali near the Navadvip railway station, and about 1 mile away in a village known as Mamagachji, which is the birthplace of Vrindavan Das Thakur, there is presently a temple of Madan Gopal that was established by Vasudev Datta. The Gaudiya Math devotees have now taken charge of this temple, And the Seva Puja is going on very nicely. Every year, all the pilgrims on the Navadvip Parikrama visit Mamagachi. Since Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur inaugurated the Navadvip Parikrama function, the temple has been very well managed. Text 42. Srila Vasudev Datta Thakur used to suffer, Srila Vasudev Datta Thakur wanted to suffer for the sinful activities of all the people of the world, so that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu might deliver them. And we'll stop here for the reading. 50 minutes of reading. The nectar of hearing the names of the associates, the eternal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very intense and very sweet. We'll hear more details as it's been described in the purports as the Caitanya-caritämrta unfolds. The Chaitanya tree, the branches of the Chaitanya tree. Okay, anybody have anything? Any reflections, discussions, points of interest, questions? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Ramo Hare Ramo. Rama Ramo Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ramo Hare Ramo. Rama Ramo Hare Hare. Well, we have a quiet crowd this evening, or maybe it's Sunday. They're having some kind of special festivals or something. Okay, we'll stop there. Whoops, somebody's come out.
Sudevi Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Sudevi Dasi.
Says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Since ISKCON is part of Lord Chaitanya, of the Lord Chaitanya tree, ISKCON is eternal, and we, the members, I would hope, will be together in the spiritual world someday.
Well, Prabhupada said there would be an ISKCON in the spiritual world, but it won't be, like everybody goes out in book bags and, does the kind of things that we do here. There'll be, associates of Lord Krishna or Lord Chaitanya in different forms, different relationships. Whether we will all be conscious that we were ISKCON devotees before or not, that remains to be seen. There was a poetic way of Prabhupada saying that we shouldn't think that this movement is material. It's a spiritual movement. I don't know much more about it than that. But definitely, Srila Prabhupada's there waiting for us. And those of us who were fortunate enough to meet him personally and be initiated by him, there's a place for us at his lotus feet, for sure. Hare Krishna.
We will serve Krishna together.
Yes. As we are doing now. I mean, just think about it. What is going on in the world today, and how much anxiety people are in, but how much nectar we taste when we just simply sit together and hear together the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So it's we are very, very fortunate to be able to do this, So therefore, we're actually tasting a drop, maybe a drop, but we're tasting something different than what most people are tasting in this material world right now. And for this we are eternally indebted to Srila Prabhupada and all of the Lord Chaitanya and Panchatattva and all of their associates. It's inconceivable. Can't be described how fortunate we are. So any one of us who gets depressed for any reason, it means we're still have ways to go because we actually realize what's actually happening to us. Whether we realize it or not, we're here together hearing Caitanya-caritämrta every day. I mean, that in itself is a rare accomplishment spiritually. It sets us apart from practically 99.9% of the population of the earth. So that allows us to be able to watch what's going on and feel compassion, and empathy for the conditioned souls. But let us do something about it. And if we can do nothing more than just hear, that is good enough. According to our capacity, we should hear and chant and spread the glories of the Lord as much as we can. There's that famous book that Vaisheshika Prabhu often quotes. All you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. We can't imitate these great souls, but we can follow in their footsteps. The difference between following in one's footsteps and imitating is that in following one's footsteps, we follow the instructions and the example, not that we try to imitate and become like that person. It's not possible to become like or the same as the eternal associates of Lord Chaitanya. They're unique. But our ISKCON movement, because it is actually a branch of the Chaitanya tree, it is a part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. It means these pastimes are still going on. We sit and chant together, hear together, have kirtan in public, distribute prasadam and transcendental literature, and speak to people about Krishna, all of our famous Rath Yatra festivals and other kinds of festivals, and our temples. It's amazing. We may think it's not a little tiny thing, but it is so significant. Okay, that's it. Hare Krishna.
She says, wow, if this is a drop, we're in for a far, far out surprise.
Yes, we're just preparing ourselves for the deluge. Tsunami that started in Navadvip when Lord Chaitanya opened doors to Srivas Thakur's house and took the Sankirtan out into the public, out into the world. And that wave caused a tsunami, and now it's going all over the world. I don't know if you're aware of it, but the ISV community, ISKCON Silicon Valley, led by my best friend, Vaisheshika Prabhu, just doubled their book distribution from last year. Their Bhaktivinoda Thakur monthly Sankirtan festival, they doubled the results. They distributed, more than 300 sets of Bhagavatams, full sets of Bhagavatams and Caitanya-caritämrta, and collected unbelievable amounts of Lakshmi during the pandemic. So the pandemic shut most devotees down, but those who are especially empowered, they doubled it, even though there were so many restrictions. That is the transcendental energy of Lord Chaitanya and the Sankirtan movement. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. It just keeps on increasing. So anyway, we don't, we may not all have the same capacity, but whatever our capacity is, we should do what we can do, and that will please Lord Chaitanya the same. What else? Okay, after 8 o'clock we'll stop here. It's about an hour. Thank you so much, everybody, and keep that hearing and chanting. Whoops. Something else.
Rati Manjari has a question.
Hey, Rati, I thought you were at Sunday Feast or something.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
Can I ask a question of yesterday's reading? It was said that we should not worship the demigods.
We talked about this yesterday. Do you remember? Are you sure this is not from yesterday?
But how is Lakshmi considered a demigoddess if she is the consort of Vishnu?
Who said that she's a demigoddess? It's a matter of this is just, what's the word, semantics. Goddess of fortune. It doesn't mean that they're a demigod because they're called the goddess of fortune. It means they're eternal associates, eternal consorts of Krishna. That's what the goddess of fortune is. So the goddess of fortune and a demigod is not the same. The demigods are jiva souls that are empowered by Krishna to perform, very substantial service in the, maintenance of the universe and distribution of the resources to all the living beings in the universe. They're called, in the Sanskrit language, they're called Upadeva, almost deva, almost gods. But there's no real word named demigod. Mostly in these other scriptures, they would say God with a small letter G, and then God, the Supreme Lord, with a capital letter G. But Prabhupada wasn't satisfied with that, so he coined this phrase in English, demigod, to make sure that no one would think that the demigods are gods, that they're equal to Krishna in any way. But it's not that the goddess of fortune are demigods. It's not that Lakshmi is a demigoddess. She's the goddess of fortune.
She says, don't the Hindus worship 5 demigods, one of them being Lakshmi?
The Hindus, they don't know what they're doing. So you shouldn't quote the Hindus as if they're some kind of authorities. The Panchupasana, there's 5, the Panchupasana means 5 deities that they worship. Surya, Ganesh, Shiva. I'm not sure if Goddess of Fortune is there or not, I'm not sure. Durga. Yeah, Durga. Not Goddess of Fortune, not the original Goddess of Fortune, but Durga, who is the wife of Shiva. But the point is, they sometimes may include Vishnu in that, but they don't see Vishnu as God. They think they want to merge into the existence of these deities. They see them all as the same, and therefore, but don't the Hindus do this? Therefore, shouldn't we do this? No, we should understand that the Hindus don't understand, and we shouldn't follow the Hindus because they have a poor fund of knowledge, as Prabhupada would say, again and again and again and again and again. So the Pancha, what did I say? What did I say the name of that was? Yeah, the Panchopasana, the worship of the 5, deities, are actually impersonal. They're actually impersonalists. They're not actually worshiping these forms as persons. Their goal is to merge into them and to become those deities. So it's just an external ritual. They're not devotees. It's nothing to do with devotional service. Therefore, it's condemned by the 6 Goswamis from Vrindavan, condemned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
She says, I understood that devotees worship Lakshmi Devi only in combination with Lord Narayan.
Pure devotees of Vishnu do that, but there are all kinds of devotees in Hinduism that worship all kinds of combinations of those personalities, and they don't understand what they're doing. Therefore, it's very important that the Krishna consciousness movement spreads, and the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and Caitanya-caritämrta spread, the knowledge spreads, so that people can actually understand what these things are. We place no value on the Panchapasana process. It's not found anywhere in any Shastra. I mean, there may be books that have been written by people who have broken away from the actual parampara, where they say those things. And because they've been around for a while, people may accept them as authorities. But they're not authorities. You have to take the Shrutis and the Smritis, Upanishads, Puranas, Pancharatras. These are the authorities. And you have to hear from them, from persons who are pure devotees. That doesn't mean that everybody is a devotee of Lord Chaitanya either. There's 4 sampradayas. But even in those 4 sampradayas, the Mayavad philosophy has entered. It's practically everywhere. Very rare that you find pure devotional service going on, even in India. But now it's thriving because of Srila Prabhupada and the devotees who are following the proper deity worship and the proper understanding from Prabhupada's books and the kirtan.
She says, thank you, Guru Maharaj, for clarifying.
Hare Krishna. The pleasure is all mine. I heard from somebody this just a couple of days ago. I gave a question and answer, and they appreciated it. And I said, as I regularly do, excuse me, Hare Krishna. excuse me, that, those who come and inquire from us, or from any of us who are trying to represent Srila Prabhupada properly, are engaging us in pure devotion service. The service that's the most pleasing to Krishna, explaining the Krishna conscious philosophy in Prabhupada's line without changing it into something else. So I thank you all for engaging me in Srila Prabhupada's service. Thank you. Sri Caitanya-caritämrta ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Brinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. We'll see you all tomorrow night. Same time, same place, same station. Hare Krishna. Jai Mahaprabhu.
There's one more thing from Rati that just came up.
Okay.
She said, I didn't know that Mayavadi philosophies entered even in the bona fide sampradayas.
They're everywhere.
That is pretty shocking to hear.
They're everywhere. But some of them are closer than others. In Ramanuja, there's not very much. It's pretty pure. Madhvacharya, the Tattvavadis, have deviated. And the others are they're practically gone. There's all sorts of things coming into them. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a line, still a pure line. And even in our line, from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and through the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, there are things that have entered into that are not completely pure. Therefore, we're just very fortunate to have heard from Prabhupada. That's why Prabhupada and only Prabhupada could take it all over the world, because he understood Lord Chaitanya's desire, and he understood that the words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were absolute, and the movement was going to spread all over the world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhakti-Saraswati Thakur, this is the pure line back to Lord Chaitanya. But there's many people in Vrindavan and other places, even Radhakund, that don't accept Bhakti-Saraswati Thakur or Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because they have this, they've concocted a way to authorize someone just through diksha and through no other, not through shiksha but through diksha, and therefore they have a tendency, not to read the books, not to study the books. Not that there aren't some pure devotees that are very learned and knowledgeable, but still they're not in line with Lord Chaitanya. And to be able to distinguish who is and who isn't in line, that requires, from our side, knowledge and realization. So therefore, in order to stay perfect and pure and in the line, we stick with Srila Prabhupada's line, because it's a sure thing. It's sure. The results speak for themselves. Okay?
She says Srila Prabhupada is such a blessing to us.
It's inconceivable, such a blessing, inconceivable. There's no way we can repay him for what he's given us, except to try to share it with others, according to our capacity. Not that we try to imitate, but we should try, according to our capacity, to give this knowledge, to accept it for what it is, and then try to give it to others. That will keep it alive within our hearts. And then the devotional people will grow and eventually reach Goloka Vrindavan. Okay, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Sri Panchatattva ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night, same time, same place, same station. Hare Krishna.